Hi, everyone. It's Monday and we're getting ready to do the second paper. Good job on the first one. I think people had the most luck when they had the instructions on one side and then they proceeded to write on the other side because the instructions have examples and links to refresh you on how to do everything. So that's a great strategy. And not to say that you can't veer off the program a little bit, but the principles are the same. You've got to do the MLA formatting. You've got to cite the source and refer to it in the ways that are instructed. Okay, so don't forget to refresh yourselves as you go. I'm going to share the screen. We're going to look at the assignment. This assignment is exactly like the first one, only a second text comes into it. And now you've been reading and answering study questions and doing discussions on different texts, and you can choose them. So I'm going to show you the assignment, which you've probably already been poring over, hopefully. So here it is. You are looking at the second essay, and you're going to do just the rough draft. Now, again, I'm giving you all the leeway in the world to tell me which two you're going to tie together, if you just want to try something loose and see what I think of it, or if you want me to actually weigh in on a specific paragraph, then let me know that. Okay, so I'm happy to do that, as you saw from the first one. The only thing I will say is if you don't really do something at this stage and then you try to scramble at the end, it's a strategy I've tried myself. It's not usually as fruitful as giving it a shot early and then kind of self-correcting as you go. Remember, our motto, if you've been watching my enthralling videos, is, you make a mistake and then you learn and then you do it again and then you get it and then you go from there. If you save all your mistakes for the final draft, not a good plan. Okay, so remember, we've got Holly the tutor, you've got the writing center. This kind of writing takes revising. It takes a lot of redoing, because the easiest thing in the world, for example, is to use says. Now I've created a little document. It's called a word bank, and it gives you a list of all these words you can use instead of says or talks about. It's just something you fall into in the course of a discussion. And as you get used to academic writing, you kind of learn to steer off that for the most part. Anyway, so I'll send you the word bank just for fun, and I'll put it in the MLA basics. How about that? Okay, so again, here again, and it's studded with links. In case you forget how to do an introduction. Those were the best. Everybody is really good at those at this point, for the most part, all of you. The summary of the main text. So what you're doing is you're picking one text, writing mostly about that, but one of the points that you're going to weigh in on is going to be somehow tied to another text. And there's lots of examples of that. So you're going to summarize the main text in the usual way. And you should look again, what does a summary look like? What are the academic principles? Because this is only your second essay. You've gotten feedback from your assignments and from your first essay. So use that feedback to get on track with how these kind of essays tend to sound, the word choice that's used, and the way that there has to be logical cohesion between one idea and the next. That the quotes are there to exemplify the writing that you've surrounded them by. They have to make absolute perfect logical sense, one thing to the next. No reason to have long quotes, because there should be enough paraphrase. You should be in command enough of the content to just use, shorter quotes and paraphrase the rest. Okay. Hopefully that was kind of scary, but you can do it. And then here I'm introducing transitions. Remember, on your you're doing analysis paragraphs. On your second one, you can try that. Not only does the author say this, but they also say, I said it. Not only does the author claim or argue or contend or report X, but also in a related sense Y. So then you can transition that way. So transitions are not only important, in fact, there's a whole document about transitions, and you have to use them within paragraphs as well as at the beginning of them. It'd be like if you just walked up to someone and launched into some talk about a hot dog you ate out of nowhere. You've got to kind of ease them in. Oh, hey, it's a nice day. It was nice yesterday, and I was walking along and I came across a hot dog stand. You've got to glide into these things. Okay. So that was a conversational example, perhaps not something you would actually write. But my point in transitions is it means that there's not an abrupt and strange change of topic or discussion point within a paragraph or between them, that it all makes sense in the sequence that you've got it. And sometimes you have to repeat words to make sure that ideas are getting tied together. Okay, and then a conclusion, and it says be mindful of transitions. We'll just take a look at the transition document real quick. And that's why they're like bridges that connect sentences and paragraphs. And then I gave you an example. What I'm also going to point out in this little document is that to have coherence in a paragraph or even an idea, if you were just talking to someone, you do have to repeat some of the main phrases to make sure that you're logically connecting that main focus again and again. So that's why some words are repeated. Okay, so there it is. It's your rough draft, and that is due on Wednesday. And I'm here to warn and terrify you of waiting till the last minute. It's not a good strategy, especially as this kind of writing doesn't come naturally. Some of you, have great examples of some of the principles that we've discussed and looked at and the readings take up, but you weren't really so able to integrate them into an analytical academic discussion centering on a text. Remember, you're here to give your own examples and your ideas as they pertain to a specific text. So we're kind of keeping you with one foot on the ground of what it is, what's in the discussion. Think of it as an exercise, and the better you get at it, the more fun it is, because the examples are more interesting and really make people think, and off you go to the races. So, all right. So happy Monday. I hope daylight savings time. Why don't we write a paper about that? That's terrible. I'm very tired. Okay. So good luck with that. And let me just remind everybody to get cracking. Holly is there to help you. Look at the comments that have been made before, because if you're making errors of a certain kind, chances are that those will be the type that you repeat unless you call them to consciousness. Okay. And that's kind of like in groups we shrink. The whole point of that article was to call it to consciousness so that the next time you're in a group, you won't shrink. Okay. All right. Have a good week. And you can turn in what you want. I don't want to stress you out with your deadlines and such, but looking down the road, it's a lot easier to get some feedback now. Again, last thing, why not just have the instructions like on a screen next on a window that you can go back and forth from the example or the instructions and kind of march through. And then don't forget that everybody has to revise. You can't get out of this alive. You have to revise. That's what all writers do all the time, around and around. Read it again, make it make more sense each time, make the sentences more fluid, take out words that aren't adding anything, don't repeat yourself, use the word bank. I'll send you the word bank with this video. Okay, good luck. And think about those texts. They're very interesting. They're all about organizing systems, aren't they? Somehow, how do we organize our behaviors and attitudes? All right, take care.